Jon has a concern. They don't know what to do with me if I'm not champion. And if Tom beats me and he doesn't give me a rematch, or they won't guarantee me a rematch, what do they plan to do with me? Again, an understanding to the inside of Jon. If that in fact is accurate information, that Jon is worried about an immediate rematch and doesn't believe he's going to get it, can look at the board and see that he's 36 and on his way out, and this guy is 20 something on his way up. And he even questions why they left the belt with him, to the point that he's saying if they knew what to do with me not as champion, they'd have already done it. That's very objective. So is it as simple as guaranteeing Jon a rematch? Very interesting point.
Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. The fight we've all been waiting for is on the horizon, but there's something standing in the way Jon Jones's major concerns. What's going on? Why has Jon Jones been so hesitant to face Aspinall? And could we be witnessing a serious shift in the heavyweight landscape? Let's break it all down.
Most of the guys who are doing the absolute worst are not in a position that they could say publicly, I have a second job. I'm borrowing money from my parents.
Right.
I know so many fighters that are living in the Jackson's MMA gym because they can't afford to have their own apartment. And they're UFC fighters.
And they just fought.
So this is sad. And if I have to have a bad relationship with Dana, sit out for 2 years, 3 years to bring light to what's happening, then these are the things that people remember you for more than winning belts.
It's a real thing. The mental health aspect is a real thing. I just had a situation, honestly, about 2 days ago. I was talking to my wife, and I was just telling my fiance, I was just telling her all the different things that were on my heart, whether it's expectation or standing up in front of the monster audience today and talking in front of that rally. Little things, just all these little things start to add up on you. They seem minuscule, but they can really become overwhelming at a certain point. And I was telling my wife that I was embarrassed because I have a lot of good problems to have, but I have a lot of shit on my plate. It just started pouring out to her, all the little tiny things that was on my heart and unfinished projects and all these little things. And bro, within like 2 or 3 minutes, she was able to completely change my outlook on everything that was happening in my life.
So here's the deal, folks. Jon Jones, the undefeated UFC heavyweight champion, is reportedly extremely concerned about one thing when it comes to his potential fight with Tom Aspinall. Despite fans around the world clamoring for this showdown, Jones has been surprisingly unenthusiastic about this matchup. Why is that? What could possibly have him worried? Some say it's money. Colby Covington has suggested that Jones is asking for too much cash to fight Aspinall, and that's why the fight isn't being booked. But there's more to this story. UFC interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall has his own theory. He believes Jon Jones is concerned about his skill set. Could Aspinall's rise to the top be something Jones is not ready for?
You said you could take me down 100 times out of 100 times, right? And that's what you're going to do, right? I challenge you to get me down 5 times in that 5-round fight. You won't be able to do that. There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know. You will lose this fight, Daniel Cormier. I want you to believe it. Every ounce of training you put in leading up to this fight will be a waste of your life.
But hold on, Chael Sonnen, the trash-talking MMA legend, thinks he's cracked the code. He believes the issues with this fight go beyond money or skill concerns. In a recent video, Sonnen suggested that Jon Jones's real concern is about the future, the aftermath of a potential loss to Aspinall. According to Chael, Jon Jones has a major concern. He doesn't know what will happen if he loses to Tom Aspinall. Will he get an immediate rematch? Or will the UFC move on without him? Sonnen points out that Jones is 36 and his time in the sport may be limited. If Aspinall beats him, will Jones be left to fade into obscurity? Or will the UFC guarantee him a rematch to keep him relevant?
Chael Sonnen makes bold claims. Chael Sonnen has shared his thoughts on a potential title fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, and he's not holding back. Sonnen believes Jones could be trolling and having some fun with the hype, possibly downplaying Aspinall's threat. Do you think Jones is underestimating Aspinall, or is it all just hype?
No, I am confident enough to tell you that fight is done, though. That fight is agreed all the way down to the day. International Fight Week would make perfect sense. I personally just in my
Only
heart,
9
I
weeks.
always thought they were going to go back to New York.
Jones said he needs 4 months. Now you're going to do it in...
I'm telling you, this Jon Jones business, Jones will say a lot of things to the media. When he gets that phone call, here's the guy you're fighting. Do you understand? Yes. And that is what he will say. All the other reports are not true. Jon has come out. He's been a troll. He's had some fun. He even tried to negotiate in the media. Privately, he takes that phone call. It's yes or anything else that comes out of his mouth. Any answer that's not yes is not yes. But that did not happen. That is a false report. Jon Jones has not ducked this fight. I wish he did. I'd love to bury him. He didn't. He did not duck Tom Aspinall.
Now, let's talk about something even more intriguing. Jon Jones's comments on Tom Aspinall before this feud started. Back in the day, before any animosity kicked in, Jones wasn't exactly singing Aspinall's praises. In fact, he was dismissive of Aspinall's talents, calling him just another rising star with little to prove. But now, things seem different. Jones's dismissive tone has shifted. Could it be that Jones is starting to realize that Aspinall is a real threat? Is this the moment when Jones finally sees the rising heavyweight as a danger to his legacy? It's hard to ignore the fact that Jones might now be questioning his previous assessments of Aspinall.
He changes nothing if I beat him. Beating Tom is just like beating Cyril Gain. Has a whole country behind him. He's hot right now. What happens to me after I beat him? Nothing changes for me. I'm not ducking Tom Aspinall. The Tom narrative came out of nowhere. He won a belt and now suddenly I'm ducking him. I've never had negotiations to even fight him, if this makes sense. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like Tom's been such an asshole that I don't want to do business with him. And obviously, you don't get this far in a career being affected by fans or whatnot. But he's just an asshole. He's 30, so he's from this influencer generation where you hop online and the T-shirt sales and all that. I'm past that type of stuff. I'm like, bro, if you had a little bit more respect, then maybe we could have worked something out, But I just don't even want to do business with him. Like he just played his cards wrong with me personally. I'm 3 years from being a 40-year-old grown man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, the press conference, going through the whole shebang with him, I'd rather not do. Pereira on the other side, respectful, cool, barely says much. It's like, I'll do business with you. I would risk it all with a human being like you. You actually have the accolades to back up your shit. This other guy is just a big mouth who's hot today.
Now, we've got to address the elephant in the room. Jon Jones is stalling. He's been active in the talks about facing Aspinall, but he hasn't exactly jumped at the opportunity to sign on the dotted line. What's going on? Is Jones stalling out of fear, or is he just waiting for the perfect moment to face? Aspinall fans are growing impatient. Jones has fought once in the last year defending his title against Stipe Miocic, but since then we've heard nothing about his next move. Meanwhile, Aspinall has been tearing through opponents staying active and waiting for his shot. The longer Jones waits, the more questions arise. Is Jones afraid of the challenge Aspinall brings to the table?
What's the question?
Do you want to see the winner fight Tom?
The winner should absolutely fight Tom.
So, what's next for Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall? Is this fight finally going to happen, or is Jon Jones stalling? Fans are waiting, the pressure is mounting, and the stakes are higher than ever. If Jones faces Aspinall, will he be able to hold on to his title, or will Aspinall take over as the new UFC heavyweight champion? Fight fans, we want to hear from you. Do you think Jon Jones is afraid of Tom Aspinall? Is he stalling out of fear of losing his legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get this debate going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the action. The fight we've all been waiting for is coming, and when it does, it will be huge. Tom Aspinall has just set an unfortunate record in UFC history, but the real issue here, UFC President Dana White and Jon Jones seem to be playing a dangerous waiting game. What's the real reason behind the delays? Is this UFC's biggest missed opportunity, or just a case of too much waiting? Let's break it down. Let's get into the numbers first. As of April 29th, 2025, Tom Aspinall has now become the longest reigning interim champion in UFC history, holding onto the title for an incredible 535 days. 535 days? And guess what? He still hasn't fought for the unified title. What's going on? He won the interim heavyweight belt back in November 2023 when he knocked out Sergey Pavlovich. He defended it in Manchester by dismantling Curtis Blades in just 60 seconds. Since then, nothing. Not a single fight and no word on when he'll get his shot at UFC champion Jon Jones. Now, here's where it gets even more infuriating. Tom Aspinall has been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for his chance to face Jon Jones for the title, but Jones is playing a game of his own. Despite being the UFC heavyweight champion since March 2023, when he submitted Cyril Gane, Jones hasn't fought Aspinall yet. Why? Because he's been off chasing another legendary fight with Stipe Miocic, who, let's face it, is pretty much on his way out. Jones beat Miocic in November 2023 at UFC 309, in a fight that many are questioning the relevance of. So why hasn't the fight between Jones and Aspinall happened yet? Why the holdup? Aspinall and his camp are getting increasingly frustrated with the lack of movement. Aspinall's dad, Andy, didn't hold back when he said, "It's stupid." He's asking the real question. Why is Jon Jones sitting around and not giving a clear answer? The UFC is telling Aspinall to stay tuned. But it's now been months of waiting. Tom has been training hard, twice a day, staying in elite athlete shape without even knowing when he'll get the competition he's been waiting for. Imagine that, all the work, no payoff. And honestly, this delay is starting to raise some serious questions. UFC fans are calling it a disaster if the promotion fails to make Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall happen. Michael Bisping, a UFC legend, even went as far as saying that Jones needs to hurry up or retire. That's some serious heat coming from one of the most respected figures in MMA. So what's next? If Jon Jones continues to drag his feet and doesn't return to the octagon, Aspinall might be forced into facing another top contender, perhaps Cyril Gane, for the chance at the unified heavyweight title. But let's be real, Jones versus Aspinall is the fight everyone wants. It's the fight that should happen, and if it doesn't, UFC could be staring at a massive failure on their hands. Can we just get a clear answer here, Jones? Do you want to fight or not? And UFC, why are you letting this linger? Fans are getting impatient, and it's clear that Tom Aspinall's title dreams are hanging by a thread as long as Jon Jones continues to sit idle. If Jones doesn't hurry up, it'll be a massive blow to the UFC's heavyweight division. So, fight fans, what do you think is the UFC dropping the ball on the biggest heavyweight fight of all time? Should Tom Aspinall have gotten his shot already, or is Jon Jones just playing a strategic waiting game? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's get this debate going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more UFC updates and deep dives into all the major fights. Until next time, stay tuned, fight fans. UFC legend Daniel Cormier has dropped some bold insights about Kamaru Usman, and things are heating up before UFC Atlanta. Usman is on the verge of a massive crossroads in his career, and DC's comments are making waves. Will Usman reclaim his throne? Or is the new generation of fighters too much for him? Daniel Cormier. Yes, the UFC Hall of Famer has come out with some surprising comments about Kamaru Usman's future. Cormier, known for his sharp opinions, has given Usman an unexpected lifeline. Let's rewind to Usman's last fight at middleweight, where he lost to Khamzat Chimaev, and yet DC believes this loss could have actually elevated Usman's status. Can you believe that DC said Usman almost elevated himself by losing to Chimaev? Now, think about that for a second. Chimaev was thought to be untouchable at the time, and despite Usman taking the fight on short notice, he stood his ground and fought well against one of the most dominant fighters in the UFC. Cormier pointed out how Chimaev hasn't been able to finish or overpower Usman in the same way he has with other top names like Robert Whittaker. So, in DC's eyes, Usman didn't just lose, he showed the world that he still has something left. But here's where the plot thickens. Usman is back in action at UFC Atlanta, but this time, he's facing a much younger and hungry prospect in Joaquin Buckley. Usman, at 37 years old, is fighting for his relevance. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, and a win here could be his last shot at a title run. Cormier has made it clear this is Usman's last chance to stay relevant in the welterweight division. Now, Cormier wasn't sugarcoating it. He said, "A win over Buckley could propel Usman right back into the title picture. Imagine Usman calling out the likes of Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena, and even the injured Shavkat Rakhmonov. A victory here could give him the chance to claw his way back into the mix. But a loss? It could push him even further away from a title shot, and that brings us to Usman's opponent, Joaquin Buckley. Buckley, ranked number 6 in the division, is not a fighter Usman can afford to take lightly. This guy is a high-level striker known for his knockout power and incredible takedown defense. He's the real deal. In fact, he won the Knockout of the Year award back in 2020 after knocking out his opponent with a vicious head kick. Buckley has all the tools to end Usman's run right here. Right now, Usman's strength has always been his wrestling. But against someone like Buckley, who has such incredible... Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champion, has been waiting for a shot at the undisputed title against Jon Jones. But instead of stepping into the cage, Aspinall's time is being spent waiting, frustrated and increasingly vocal about his situation. And the man who's been by his side through it all, his father Andy, isn't holding back either. It's been nearly a year since Tom Aspinall's last fight, and the clock keeps ticking. But what's even more frustrating is that Aspinall is ready to go. A fighter who typically spends very little time in the cage, with his last 3 fights each lasting no more than a minute, is now sitting on the sidelines. His career stalled. In fact, Aspinall has the least amount of cage time for any UFC champion, clocking in at just over 2 minutes. His fights are short, explosive, and full of promise. Yet even after a dominant victory, the biggest fight of his career against Jon Jones remains elusive. It's not just Tom feeling the frustration. His father and coach, Andy Aspinall, is in the trenches too. Training an elite athlete without the promise of a fight is no easy task. For Andy, it's not just about coaching, it's about keeping the lights on. As Tom's head coach, Andy's income is tied to his son's fight purses, and with no fights, there's no pay. It's just a massive pain in the A. Really, Tom is staying fit. We're putting different things into his game, but it would be really nice if he could have a fight. You can't keep training with no purpose. It's draining. For Andy, it's not just about the lack of income, it's about the lack of purpose. It's nice to train for somebody, Andy says, but without fights, you just go to the gym and train for no reason. He's watching his son, a prime athlete, wasting his potential because the UFC can't get their act together. Dana White keeps promising that the fight between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones will happen. In fact, just recently, Dana stated, "Everything you hear is bulls until we say it. I've said it many times. That's the fight we want to make this year. Still super confident it happens." But despite these optimistic words, fans and fighters alike are starting to wonder, when is Dana just blowing smoke? As Dana White talks about how confident he is in making the fight happen this year, Tom and Andy are left hanging. Their patience is wearing thin, and frustration is boiling over. With each passing day without a fight, the UFC is losing credibility in the eyes of its athletes. Aspinall's frustration isn't just about missing a big fight. It's about the toll it takes on his livelihood. As a fighter, Tom's income comes from fight purses. Without a fight, there's no paycheck. We want some fight news. That's what we're after, Aspinall says, echoing the sentiment of every fighter who's had to sit on the sidelines longer than expected. "I'm training twice a day, doing all the recovery and the physio, but there's no competition. That part has nothing to do with me." While the training continues, the lack of competition is weighing heavily on Tom. Every day spent in the gym without a fight feels like a missed opportunity. The UFC's delay in booking the Jon Jones fight is more than just a scheduling problem. It's a financial and emotional drain on Aspinall and his family. Tom Aspinall isn't just frustrated, he's losing confidence in the UFC's ability to get things right. It's just a massive pain in the AI, Andy says. But it's not just about Tom's desire to compete. It's about the broken promises that the UFC has made and the toll it's taking on his family's livelihood. The longer the UFC waits, the more it risks losing one of the brightest young talents in the sport. A fighter who's ready and willing to prove himself against Jon Jones but can't get the call to step in the cage. The UFC needs to make this fight happen, not just for the fans, but for the fighters who've been left waiting. Tom Aspinall is a fighter who's done everything right: quick knockouts, minimal cage time, and an undefeated record. Yet, as the months pass by, his fight with Jon Jones is slipping further into the distance. The UFC has to deliver on its promises, and soon. Because if they don't, they risk losing the future of heavyweight MMA. Stay tuned for more updates on the UFC's biggest fight that may never happen. Will Tom Aspinall finally get the title fight he deserves? Only time will tell.
Jon Jones just shut the fucking door on Tom Aspinall, and he didn't just close it politely. He slammed that seed shot like a heavyweight KO.
I feel like Tom's been such an asshole that I don't want to do business with him.